Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
That's right, Andrew. This is the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and podcast. I am your host, Jeff Norton. I had a little scare there. It was one of those things. You start out the show and realize that you're not getting any audio. So we got it all worked out. I had to kick the machine and get a bigger hammer. But we've got it all worked out, and hopefully that will be the end of the troubles tonight. Let me take care of a little studio air conditioning here so you don't have it blowing in on the microphone. What a night. We got our good friend. Hold on. Let me just stop right here. Let me start this thing all over again. I've had my Tim Hortons coffee. See, I can't even pronounce it right. This is going to be one of those nights, I can already tell. Mercury definitely must be in retrograde or something. I don't know what they say these days. But it's going to be one of those shows. We have our really good friend, Ed Roman's going to be joining us here in a few minutes. I promise I will not keep him on hold much longer, but I do have to do a little bit of housekeeping and let you guys know. We have made some changes, some policy changes, and I'm sorry it's come down to this, but some adults can't act like adults. They got to act like kids in our chat room. So let me just tell you this, and I'm going to ask you guys in chat to help me moderate this. We've implemented a chat bot. That's right. We're going to do it. I'm not pointing fingers. You know, I understand people get emotional. Things happen. But, you know, sometimes we just have to curve it, right? So we're going to help you do that. So the first thing is that if you want, and you're listening to the show, and you want to send us a message, and this is what's really cool. If you want to send us a message without getting into the chat room, you can now SMS us a message. You can actually go to the Midnight Ocean, www.themidnightocean, a website, and you'll see a little blue icon in the bottom right-hand corner. Click on that, send your message to us, and that is one way you can do that. Or, better yet, you can actually go on your phone and add us to your contact list. That is our phone number, 786-574-3652. I have to look at the screen myself because I'm still learning the number. Add that is in your contact, and you can send us text messages directly from your phone. That's a pretty cool feature and everything. Now, getting back to the chat, we were contemplating about just getting rid of chat altogether. And that's not fair. You know, that's not fair. I love the chat room. I really do. I love the fact that people can get in there and communicate and everything like that during the show. So I don't think it's right that we should punish it. But let me lay down some rules that we've never done. First thing, no personal attacks. Let me tell you, if you come into the chat room, you attack anybody in the room, you're gone. Right? There is no second chance. You're gone. If you respond to a personal attack, and I know that everybody wants to, if you respond to the personal attack, you're gone as well. That's the only way we can do this, right? Because you can't perpetuate all this hate. We are not about hate on this show. That is not what we do here. I know everybody's rooted in thieves or in their thieves and their thoughts and everything, but we are definitely not about hate. We're all about love here at the Midnight Ocean. Enough said with that. So you won't even get a warning. You might get a warning, but you're still going to get banned. It will be coming. It's just a matter of me getting over there and throwing you out. Right? So no personal attacks. Keep it to the topic, right, at hand. Try to. But no personal attacks. And if you respond to someone that's attacking you, I'm sorry, you're gone. And trust me, the way our system's set up now, I can go during the breaks and I'll see. We have a full record of everything. And I'm sorry that it's come to this, but that's just the way it is. We can't have it. I don't condone it. So we need to be better in that. And we need to be loved, right? That's what this show's all about. And if you guys listen to the show long enough, you will know that. And, you know, what a better segue than the artist himself who wrote I Am Love. Ed Roman is joining us on the Skype line. Now, let me give you a little bit of background with Ed. Ed is an award-winning singer, songwriter, performer, and a multi-instrumentalist from Shelburne, Ontario, Canada, blurring the lines between pop, rock, folk, and country music genres. Ed's uniquely crafted songs have received regular rotation on more than 100 terrestrial radio stations across North America and more than 400 stations worldwide. Now, you guys will know, if you listen to the show, that song, I Am Love, and the Wolfman, yeah, that's Ed. So, hopefully we'll get him a few million plays just right here on the show. But without further ado, let's bring our great friend in from the great country of Canada. Hey, Ed, how are you, buddy?
Jeff, my friend, how are you? It's good to be here on the Midnight Ocean.
The Midnight Ocean, just bobbing away.
Well, yeah, I was just thinking, too. I was like, okay, what do I do? So burn some sage, throw some Jamaican spice in the fire, spread the blood of a chicken on the front door in the shape of, like, sort of Marty Feldman or something like that. And then I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Man, put some beads, put some shells in your hair.
Something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Wow, man, it's so cool. And I promise that this time we're not going to talk about music so much. Everybody was like, they loved our last conversation, but I have to ask this. After you were on the show, you hung out with some I can never say it, Rastafarian, right, in Jamaica.
Rastafarians.
Yes. That's one of those words that I have a hard time with. I have a hard time with a lot of words. I think I probably picked the wrong industry to go into, but dude, was that magical? Or I watched that video of you on YouTube and I'm like, holy crap, that just must have been, talking about hanging out with the sages. Those guys, that must have been magical for you.
Well, totally, man, because, Rastas and Jamaicans themselves, they're very mystical people. Island people sort of have that potency to their sort of, mystique, when you talk to them. But Rastas themselves, and the culture itself is so embedded in Christianity and East Indian religion. It's its own sort of amalgam of ideas, but really it's like, do unto others as you would do, and with all that said, yeah, it's wild because they don't think the way that everybody else does. Everything seems to be a poem and a story in some way that has some moralistic connection to not only the moment, but, may not hit you till weeks later or whatever. And I love hanging out with the Rastas because it's like, it regrounds me as a person in a weird way. Yeah. It's like, they're kind of like old Slovak people, like my grandparents. And it's like, I love it. And I do it whenever I can because it's like I said, it's a reinvigorator.
Yeah. Just salt of I watched that video, and guys, go out, for those that are listening to the show and everything, go out to YouTube and type in Ed Roman, and you will see, I think it's like the second video. Where he's hanging out and they're just and it's just, to me, it just seemed like these were the salt of the earth guys. Look, I at one time, I will tell you, in my younger days and my critical days, I would have never have thought that I would ever want to hang out with Rastafarians. But then after, I was like, wow, that is so magical. I wish I was there. And it was
do cool. It. There's always the chance, and that's the thing. Rastas are everywhere. There's even such a big Jamaican community in Canada. Yeah. But the thing that really turned me on, obviously, was Bob's music. Yeah. Bob and Peter and Bonnie, all of them had that sort of education to the music and what they, sort of helped people understand what it was all about. So it's any culture, like, that's the thing. It's like Western and the Western Hemisphere is so inundated with so much all the time that it's hard to sometimes get to that root chakra like space, and that's where that spiritual kind of connectivity sort of comes into play, because there's even in a conversation you might have with somebody in the morning. I remember my friend Bongo Shem, who's in the video, he's got the big kata on in the studio, and he's like, I woke up in the morning and I talked talk to John and I ask him, what do I do? What do I do today? And he give me the idea that, I see this old shopping cart and I put a pot in it with some coals and I go down to Orchie and I make some porridge for everybody and some corn and I make extra money and it's all like this sort of plan, the way that they see their day, even their daily events. So for me, it's like, oh, I get you guys. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not worried about their credit card bills and car payments. But because they choose not to have those things, which is awesome.
Right, and that's, the whole Babylon concept and all of that is a part of it. But see, I think that's the thing about it's a balance that's being shown between what we have and what we used to have in terms of how much more simple and maybe, let's say, spiritually connected that we were. And there's still some of us that are that way. That's why I love mediums and physical mediums and people that are like that. It's just like, you're kidding me. There's like a huge list of physical mediums I'd love to hang out with, but it's like, try to get a hold of them. It's next to impossible, right?
Well, let me know. Give me your list, and when
top of the list right now is Amy Allen.
Okay.
And Derek Acora from Great Britain.
Yeah.
He's like some amazing stuff I've seen him do before, but I mean, that's the thing. It's just like, I'm so interested in that dimensional level of our existence and how it really affects us. Yeah. So, you're on the same page, but I'm preaching to the choir.
What's really funny because, you got to remember, I'm relatively new to this. I had Joseph Reyna was on last night. Five Eagles joins us. He's kind of like my Lyndon Moulton now on the show, but he came on to the show and he's like, yeah, so-and-so. And it's like, look, you understand, I'm a noob to this stuff. I mean, I just picked up, I've been listening to Art Bell and all that for years, and I am a believer, but it's, I don't know most of these people. I'm still learning who they are and what they do, and it's amazing though. But yeah, I get to the point now where we just have phenomenal, like with Sasha, and we had Laura McDonald on last week, and we had McCartney Green. I mean, these are people are like, I can't believe you're talking Dr. Ram, Richard Miller. You want to talk about a guy that's way out there. Great conversation, and he's actually coming on next week. He's going to be back, but it's just a fellow Canadian. We're working with Dr. John Hutchinson is going to be rejoining us.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
please don't forget to remind me, because I'd love to call into the show or get in on the chat room on that, because I just thought I got 1,000 questions for him.
Yeah, we're Dr. Ram is actually setting that up, so I kind of let that one out of the bag. But I figured a fellow Canadian you'd like, and talk about fellow Canadian. I just want to welcome 1990 Sunbird 1990 for joining us. He's first time listener, and he just said that he's from Ontario as well. And,
nice, welcome.
Yeah,
welcome.
So we're kind of if I could live anywhere else than Florida, it would be in Canada. So I guess it's.
Canada's like, I don't know. It's a weird. Canada's got this spiritual connectiveness to it in a weird way because of its Aboriginal community. My dad, grew up with the Scugog community, and at the same time, I was lucky enough to tour with an African band that played a lot of reservations and places that were sort of catering to the indigenous people. And man, I kind of get it that it's just soaking in the land, like especially when you get away from the terminal, and you really get out in the bush and feel it. When you were mentioning you have Aboriginal people on the show, wow, what a great drawer of information when it comes to the spirit world.
Oh, it's incredible, and it's kind of like Canada's you take the Oregon, the northern part of Oregon up to Washington, and kind of loop it back around and stuff. It's all, like you said, it's all Native American, Aboriginal, and it's just a wealth and an incredible group of people who are just connected to the earth. And exactly.
Kind of in a weird way, like it makes me feel ashamed, but it's like, I get it. You know, when we were up in Chichasabee and when the tour bus was leaving, we were like playing with the Moffats, and it was this amazing festival that we were doing up there. But it was like powwow was just starting, and they were setting up teepees, and here's, you know, the spruce boughs, and people are making bannock, and there's like a goose hanging from a string, and a woman that's, you know, hitting it with a switch to turn it over the fire. And I didn't want to go. You know, I didn't want to leave.
Yeah. Yeah,
it feels so welcoming, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. And maybe my mom and dad, you know, because I know my mother listens to the show. She's my number one fan. No, but I remember as one of the coolest memories that I have as a kid when we lived in Oregon. Before we left Oregon, my parents, my dad was in the military, so right before we would leave somewhere, they would try to do something special that was part of that area, so that way we can get something out, you know, say, hey, look, we were here and we did this. And I remember going to a powwow. It's a faint memory, but I remember going to the powwow and just being at awe, watching them, you know, watching them, the drum, and to this day, it you know, of all the memories I have, all the things I've experienced in my life, you know, I'll have to say that's in the top 10 is that powwow.
And the chanting, like, with the drumming, and it's overpowering. I know, it's overwhelming.
It's very emotional. Yeah, it does. It is very emotional. Talking about emotional, I watched your video, I Am Love. Great video, man.
Did you watch the 7-1 or the 4-1?
I watched the 4-1. What's up with the 7-1?
The 7-1 is like has a vignette at the front half, and I had also cut it down just for people that wanted the shorter version because it's like 7 minutes long. But people were like, what's with the strange beginning? Like, and I was trying to like set it up that it was like, okay, here is a moment in time, space, and we find the devil, me, okay, riding on a tricycle, 3, around counterclockwise a globe that my artist friend John Robinson had made.
No, wait a minute. I did see, that's the one I saw.
Okay, so he's repeating over and over again, nothing but malarkey, monopoly. Yeah. So people were like, that's spooky. And I was like, well, it's kind of supposed to be.
I
like, you know, yeah, it was like, I can't remember if it was Don Henley or who it was. He'd written a tune, and it was about the devil coming back or something. And he started looking around and going, hey, everything's doing pretty good here. I got no work, you know, in front of me. I might as well just take a little holiday kind of a thing. And that's what it was. It was this moment where he stops to reflect, lights this big cigar, and all of a sudden he looks over his shoulder and realizes, what's that little red dot? You know, and red's obviously the symbolism through the record. So it kicks off, and we go into the tune with me in the studio.
Yeah, no, that's the one I saw. I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't know how long it was. I was so intrigued with that. Like I said, it was a great video. I loved it.
Thanks, man. I had a lot of fun doing it.
I can imagine. And then that Wollerster. What type of the organ that you're playing?
Well, that's a Hammond. That's a Hammond M3. They put out a whole series, but that's the classic, like, church parlor organ that was used in, like, all sorts of rock and jazz and still used today. But I collect old instruments like that because nobody wants them anymore.
So that's a shame. I mean, the sound on that thing was it was incredible.
Dude, they're funky, right? I have a Leslie, so it's got the rotating horns, right, for the speakers. And, when you punch it right, it sounds pretty funky.
Yeah, I was like, wow. And that's all in your studio, correct? That's all your stuff.
Yeah, up here at Area 51, my recording studio just over the garage. Yeah, I knew I'd make you chuckle now.
All right, so here we go. All right, so I did promise everybody when I got you back on, we weren't going to talk about music and everything. So let's just get right into it. So obviously you have some experiences, and I'm just going to let you run with it because I don't have to guide you. I'm just going to sit back and get entertained here. This is going to be a show that I'm going to listen to. Most of them I don't. I just kind of, you know how it is when you're the conductor. You don't really focus on the minutia, on the big one. You're focused on the minutia and not the bigger picture. So this one here, I'm going to grasp a bigger picture. So, is your studio named Area 51, and you just messing with me, man?
No, I'm absolutely serious. I've got a page, and there's a little website and a connection page to our website here at Black Earth Music and Pottery. And I did a whole webcast series with a bunch of artists from here. And I've actually been calling my studio, wherever it has been, whether it was this little place in Toronto I was at for a while, and then I was in my mom's basement for a while. And then when we came up and moved up here to the farm, I put it over top of the garage. So the number and the space has always sort of followed me.
So here we go. You're up there. I mean, where you're located, it's pretty, well, I mean, what's the nearest biggest city? I don't want to give people too much of your location. You got people knocking on your door. Well, it's Canada. They ain't going to mess with you too much.
The big boy is Toronto, where the rivers meet, which incidentally is an Aboriginal word, Toronto, which means where the rivers meet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But this area, like, okay, you want, Jeff, like, okay, the background of like where my kind of, I don't know, connection to thinking about it or looking at all of this kind of topic really came from my home life, because first of all, I think my house was haunted.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was. It was a really old farmhouse. It was built at the turn of the century. The big old classic barn, like something out of a novel with the silo. And a gentleman had died while they were building the silo many years ago. So we were right on a creek system. But even before that, the allegories of my family with my grandparents, for instance, my grandmother... brother was born, with all of his hair and teeth, and he could already speak.
Wow! I'm sitting here going, all right, that must have been hell on your
Well, ironically, this is where the story would go with Baba, my grandmother, which she would say that this young boy had teeth already. So my great-grandmother, when breastfeeding, her breast would be sore because the child had teeth. And all of this was like, okay, I know it's strange, but it's like his name was Ergi. And at a very young age, he would like go and talk to like all the older people in the village. He was almost like a prophet or something, because even what we call in Slovakia a basurka, which is almost like somebody that's, very spiritually connected, almost you might say is like a witch, but not a witch, a good witch, Wicca almost, would say, this child is special somehow. And it was weird. From a very young age, about 5, he would start telling my great-grandmother that he was going to die at the age of 11 on this specific day, and that he would even start practicing his funeral. And he would say, okay, here's what's going to happen, Mom. I'm going to go, and there's a bench under the apple tree. I'm going to go lie there, and then I'm just going to die. And all the kids are going to come, and they're going to have my funeral for me and everything. And she'd say over and over again, stop talking about this. This is ridiculous. Sure enough, when he was 11 years old, on the day that he said, I can't remember what it was, he goes to the bench, lies down, and passes away. And the kids from the village all hear about it. They all come. And it was like prophesized by him in some kind of a way, right? And with that said, and stuff that, my grandfather's stories that he talked about, that was all, okay. What's all this about? Because it wasn't like they were telling jokes. My grandparents loved to tell jokes and stories and whatever, but this was more like this happened.
Yeah, this was real.
So for me, and then the other thing was my whole family, before I was born, in about 1968, and it had what I would call a mass sighting, a UFO sighting. And the farm itself was set on the Bursey Creek system. And I understand from some ufologists that this is some consequence to some aerial phenomenon and what they follow geographically because of minerals, water movement, mild electrical sources, all of this stuff. And my mom, at dinner time in early November, was alarmed because she thought that the sump pump in our basement had turned on. All the pipes started rattling, and she went to the basement. Nothing was on, but when she came back up, she looked out the bay window of the kitchen, and there was this big oblong orb-shaped ball that was floating between our barn and our house, and it had this sort of weird, what my mom and brothers and sisters, grandparents all described, because we all lived together, was a flowing group of lights.
Yeah.
So, that was sort of...
Let's hold it right there, because we're actually... got that break, of course. Got to pay some bills.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I haven't gotten to the Jamaican lifestyle yet, so I still have bills to pay. So when so we'll take a break. Hold that though, because I do have some questions geographically and all of that.
Sure.
And then I might be able to tie that into some sightings that were done in the States just below you guys. So you're listening to the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and podcast. We're with our very special guest and the singer, songwriter, and author of our song, I Am Love and the Wolfman, all the ones we play here at the show. We'll get back. He's telling a story about a mass UFO sighting.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network. the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
That is right, Andrew. This is the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and podcast. You can join us live every weeknight. I can get me some more Timmy Hortons. I am having trouble all throughout the night. This is going to be one of those nights. But yes, you can listen to us live every weeknight from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or on the web at www.themidnightocean.com. If you're joining us for the first time, please hit that ever so most important button called subscribe there on YouTube. You can join us on Facebook at The Midnight Ocean. Just type that in. If you want to join the Midnight Listeners, type in Midnight Listeners as well. One of the cool things that we have done as well, and I got to say this until it gets ingrained. Sorry for the repetition. But we now have set up a new way that you can SMS us, message us. Now, this system is actually also attached. If you go out to the Midnight Listeners and you go to the Midnight Listeners page and you send me a message, it will also appear during the show. It's pretty cool technology. Those guys at Live Ninja provided that to us. Thank you guys at Live Ninja for doing that. But that allows you to SMS. The number that you need to put in for the Midnight Ocean, this is not my phone number, so don't try to call it. It's not going to go anywhere. Waste your time. Actually, I probably shouldn't have told you that. Just let you call it. Thank you. You're going to talk to me eventually. But the number is 786-574-3652. That is 786-574-3652. And I'll put it back in the chat room there in YouTube, and that way you can have it there as well. But you can also get to it by going to our page at the Midnight Ocean. You'll see it there. Just add us as a contact. We won't message you because I don't know who you are. It'd be kind of hard, but you can message me. You can ask questions that way if you don't want to join us in the chat room here on YouTube. And I understand. Talking about the chat room on YouTube, once again, we do have rules in place. That's right. Oh my God. He's put rules in place. We have rules. The rule is this: no personal attacks. If you get caught doing it, you're gone. I'm just going to tell you flat out, I ain't going to negotiate. Don't care who you are. You can be my mother. And if you attack someone in this room, you're gone. The other thing, too, is if you reply to said attack, you are gone as well. That's how you end it, right? And I'm sorry to take that hard line, but sometimes we just need to be smacked every once in a while. And that's how we're going to do it here. So don't be the one that test me. Don't test me. And because you will find real quick, it's not, I don't care. We're all about love here. After I just told you you're gone, I'm going to throw you out. We're all about love on this show. But sometimes you got to have rules, right, Ed? Got to have rules.
This is correct.
Man, we had last night it was crazy. It got to the point where I was like, now children. So now I just had to invoke them. But going back before we were so rudely interrupted by that mass commercialization. You're an indie artist, so you can appreciate that statement. But
well, of course, I mean it's part of life.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm a little upset with your management team, by the way. I know Michael's listening to the show. I'm going to take digs. I'm going to use his artist to get back at him. I'm looking for a manager, man, for the radio show because we have syndication offers, and it's like they're hard to find. So I called Mike. I'm like, hey, man, can you? No. I'm like, oh, come on. You're pretty good, pretty cool cat. But no, he can't do it. So yeah, no hard feelings.
Well, and the other thing is probably so busy. The man is like, go. He's having his baby. just moved to a new place. Apparently, I guess he's had a leaky roof. I saw on social media the other day. He's juggling a multitude of things. I mean, if he could, he would.
Yeah. Well, no, he said he was. Well, I don't want to get into the contract, but he said he couldn't. He said he just couldn't. He was already working with another radio show. So.
Gotcha.
I was so disappointed though, because I was hoping. It was one of these master plans. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I got a master plan. And now I'm going to have to go to Weiss. And I was like, I don't want to go to Weiss. Those are the LA guys. And I don't kind of, I hope the Weiss group isn't listening right now. They'll be like, well, come on, man. We thought you were like down with us.
It's a heroic leap, LA.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You want to talk about jumping in the pit. I know. I talked to Manu and, yeah. I'll just leave it at that. Getting back to the UFO. So your farm, so we can have a understanding. So you have a classic farm. How far is the silo? Like, what is the distance between the house and your silo?
50 yards.
About 50 yards. And so this orb kind of went right between those two?
Yeah, that's what it was. It caught my mom's attention. Obviously, first, like I said, everything was like vibrating in the house, and it got even more intense when she came upstairs, because even the kitchen windows with those old, shutters and things like that, all shaking and rattling, and it's the staircase opened to this big bay window, and she thought at first, oh my gosh, like a plane's going to fly into the house, because we were only about 1.5 miles from Buttonville Airport, which was the small little Cessna airport that people used, go to Ottawa, flying in and out of Toronto Island Airport, back and forth, jumping. So she thought, oh, this is something good. But then it was like, it's stationary. And she calls everybody's attention to it. And my grandparents, my 3 brothers and sisters, my mom, all saw this thing. And then she said it was like, what was weird is, like, if you ever spent time with welders and they're like arc welding, don't look at the light. You may look away while they're tapping and doing whatever they're doing, but it had that feel to everybody that you shouldn't be looking at it. So when everybody looked away, what everybody noticed was its brightness was so intense, yet it cast no shadows in the nighttime. So none of the trees had shadows, or the lamppost, or anything else that was there. And and then with that sort of noticing of that, it sort of started to lift up, and it moved over our barn. And then my mom and everybody said it almost like a bouncing ball fall puffy of the land. Sort of the pasture gave way to a valley, to the creek, to another horizon, the other side of the valley, and then again and moved to the southeast. And the incident maybe was all of about 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes at most. But the intriguing thing too was 1968, the Buttonville Airport, as I mentioned, and the David Dunlop Observatory, which was associated with the University of Toronto, had reported seeing odd aerial phenomenon, both on radar and while witnessing, I guess, or doing an astronomical calculation. So this, and at the time, now going back, now, 68 all through 64 even, there was a huge, a mass amount of Canadian sightings that were happening all over Ottawa, Ontario, all the way out to St. John's, Newfoundland. There was the Shag Harbor incident. There was so many different things that were occurring. I'm getting chills even thinking about it, that it's like, wow, this part of the allegory, again, it feeds my interest. Yeah. So, it's like, what? What happened?
Well, I had Linda Zimmerman on, and she's the one that wrote the Hudson Valley UFOs, and kind of all the way along that coastal through the Hudson Valley and up into Canada, Newfoundland, all in that area, in the 60s, 70s. That was a hotbed of UFO. I mean, it was weird. Like you said, they kind of followed that train, that natural train, and especially water, and just kind of, it's amazing. Now, have you seen anything since? Or has it died down pretty much?
No, I have had my own incidents. I was coming back, so you have to understand where we were. There's 4.5 farms that contained The old farmhouse, the barn. The old farmhouse and the barn, all between with about 3 miles.
Sure.
And about 1,500 acres kind of a thing, spread out. So we were moving back and forth in the evening to feed animals, come back to the main house, everybody eat dinner together, that kind of a thing. And we were coming up along our tree line and coming into the driveway, and I had noticed a red orb-looking circle, but it was very defined in terms of it wasn't like, didn't look like it was fuzzy or anything like that. But what was interesting was that the center of it was like a white, very white light, like bright again. And it seemed to swirl like a candy cane or something, but not with any defined shape, outwards into the red. And I mean, I know that, you know, plasma and all those different kinds of things are possibilities, but the interesting thing about this is that it seemed to be moving under intelligent control, and when it would move laterally a little bit, and it would be vibrating at the same time, would go up. You know, maybe it could have been, it's hard to describe because its distance between myself and the next farm field was about 25 acres into the tree line that sort of subdivided those two farm fields, right? So, but here's the thing about it was that whatever it was, I was alarmed enough that I was like sitting in the tree line and didn't want to leave, but at the same time was compelled to want to walk out into the field, which had already been cut at that time of the year. And incidentally, it's interesting to note that both of these incidents happened around October, November, in the same sort of area. So, but that my sister-in-law who was with me refused to get out of the car. And she kept yelling, "Edward, get back in here, get back in here." And I'm like, what is this? What is this? You know? Yeah. And it took about 7 minutes, and it kept doing these angular upward movements, quick, not slow in any way, shape, or form, but very darty-like. But then it would move slowly again, and sort of bubbly, like this bubbly vibration to it. And I lost sight of it about what would have been 1.5 kilometers, so 1.25 miles or something like that, into the next sort of county line area. So, but that for me again was another one of those. I was so afraid, but yet intrigued. Did
you feel? I got to ask this because I mean, people are empathic to these things. So, did you almost feel like compelled to go towards it? Like, yeah. That's it. That's what is weird about it is that. Yeah. Again, with other experiences that I've had, whether it's spiritual related or I'm going to go into the realm of Sasquatch and Bigfoot, that it seems to be, like it, whether they're coming to me or and here's what the Aboriginal communities will say, sometimes when you have these experiences, you're kind of meant to have them at certain points at time to accelerate something in you, whether it be your passions, your thought process, your intrigue, all of those kinds of things. So I don't know, because like to me, there's been so many odd phenomenon that have occurred not only to me but other family members that I have to go, wait a minute, there's something else here afoot, more than just like Ed's crazy. Yeah, you know. Well, you're crazy, but not in the way that you think you're crazy.
Right.
You know, but
the textbook.
Yeah, that's right. You're not in a DSM-3 manual. That's right. We can't put you in that. But I guess my next question, though, because you can tell that about you, though. I mean, I've never like met you in person, but I've seen your videos, and I'm gonna come across as a stalker, but I've seen your and there's something. I mean, you can tell there's something mystical there. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm being told that I'm somewhat empathic and picking up on this stuff, but there's something there, and it's obvious. And you know, the other thing too is I want to say, and it shows in your music, because you talk about things and you do things in your music that's not I don't want to say not normal, but it's unique. It's not like what everybody else is doing, and that's why I love your music, man. I mean, it's just, and you're talking to a dude that's like AC/DC, freaking Motorhead. Well, Rush, Geddy Lee. You know.
Music is music, but I want to say thank you because, first of all, look, you know, to me, I'm like a big kid. And my mom always told me about, you know, inside of my personality with difficulties I had with dyslexia, just self-esteem issues, being an overweight kid and stuff. She always tried to remind me not to lose my happiness. Yeah. And I guess that comes from that childlike sort of mentality to certain things. And with the whole connection to the house and me feeling like it was haunted, with that said, this empathetic sort of thing that you're talking about as well, children and being a teacher for so many years and spending so much time with kids, I know exactly what you're talking about because without having to get into like the sort of anthropological, sociological aspects of how we develop as human beings, children are sponges. They feel and see things, and it's so often we were talking about physical mediums before. They are the ones that are most affected in situations and living conditions where properties or houses or locations are impregnated with not good energy. Correct. And for me, that's kind of where the connection and feeling things out comes from, I guess. And maybe that leaves my door a little open sometimes.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe. So I have to ask, so after you saw this orb this last time, did you write a song? Was there any kind of creativity spat that you went through, or was it just like...
Yeah, no, I wrote a tune called A Few More Days.
There you go.
And it was about taking a ride in a UFO and what it would be like and the perceptions of, you know, what I would see. Like to take a ride with some funny green guys like an astronaut. Want to hang around in another new town for a couple of days and check out the dots from a different spot. I'm wondering if they're all the same. Hey, they got everything you need, every kind of human feed, anything you could want. You could even talk to Tesla, Albert Einstein, Jimi Hendrix, or whoever they caught. So pick up the phone and call it on home because you'll be staying a few more days.
See? There you go. That was the message right there. They're saying, "Hey, come on, hang out." You know what? It was a travel.
Well, yeah, and my brother kids me, right? Because he's 10 years older than I am. He's like, "Oh yeah, they came in '68. They did some wiring, and that's why you were born that way." You know, like kind of a thing. I'm like, "Come on, man, are you serious?" Like he's always pulling my leg.
So then the next question is usually paranormal UFOs are accompanied by other things. You know, we've already established you feel that you lived in a haunted house. Did you have any other paranormal activity going on? You know, any cryptozoology? You know, you're in the woods, so you know, did you have any big hairy guys show up or?
Well, again, like hard for me almost to talk about because like even some really great Bigfoot and Sasquatch researchers like Jeff Meldrum, who I've spoke to, as well as John Bindernagel, all directed me to people to the BFRO who kind of have two lives about it. Yeah. So for me, it's nothing I've overly publicized. I did do a descriptive documentative clip that I put on my YouTube channel just because at first I was like, I don't know what's happening here. And it was like, you know, early July, hot. And I'm going with the dog to the garden to fiddle around, and it's like 5:30. And, you know, supper time's at 6 with him, and then we start cooking and whatever. Anyway, I hear coyotes going crazy, a lot of coyotes. And he's been chased a couple of times by a husband and wife team that right up to the house almost. So I was like, okay, I put him in the house, go back to where the garden is. But the garden gives way to an open field that has a rise to it, and the pasture slopes down to the Boyne Conservation Area, which is a protected conservation area that stretches close to, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 miles east of us. And here I get to the crest of the hill, and I'm at chest level in terms of perception to whatever's at the lower half of the hill. And I see somebody, I think it's somebody, dressed all in like black, wearing a balaclava, staring at the forest where the coyotes are, going crazy, yelping, howling. The coyotes aren't coming out. And I'm thinking to myself, why is there somebody in this heat wearing a balaclava and like a black jumpsuit?
Yeah.
And in less than 4 seconds, excuse the pun, squats down. And then in less than 5 seconds, comes bolting out of this tall grass like a quadruped, but like 2 legs to back legs, 2 legs to back legs.
Yeah.
And like a big jackrabbit or something. And it covers, gotta be 26 yards in those 4 bounds. Like an alarming amount. Stops on a dime, stands up, turns to its left, and walks about 25 acres worth, because there's a 50-acre parcel behind me, into the bush line. Now, while this is happening, I was standing, and I went to, when I saw this, like running out of this brush, kind of the cross between a run crawl thing, because I was like, is this a bear? What is this? And when I saw it stop and stand up again, I had turned to look over my left shoulder, and this is when I noticed this thing is walking now. What man can do that, first of all, run like that? And that's the other thing. It's not until later that I start, okay, well, wait a minute. It seemed to be so svelte, standing, looking from its side, but then when it came running out, it seemed far wider and very girthy, especially like in the top, in its top half. And I went back to the house. My wife was at work that day. She'd come home 9:30 or something like that. I told her what happened. She laughed at me, and I said no. Like, it took me 4.5 months to be able to go back to the bush with the dog by myself again. And I kept questioning people, asking guys I know that are hunters up here, and people that have lived up here far longer than I have, and they're like, I've never seen a bear do that. A black bear do, because I've said to my buddy Bill, I said, Bill, have you ever seen a black bear in the bush while you've been hunting? He goes, no. Yeah. He's been hunting for 35 or 40 years.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I've hunted black bear in a younger, more naive life, and I can tell you that they don't act like that.
No, and that's the thing. It's like, so what? I'm westerly winds. Here was I upwind. They caught a sniff of me. This was some kind of a defense mechanism. And then he went about his business. So I contact Bindernagel, and he's busy. And he puts me under the BFRO here in Canada. And 2 people came up, and we did a big investigation. We went back to the bush. And here's the other interesting connection, is that another gentleman that lives on the side road just north of us had reported something to the BFRO in about 3 weeks around the same time, but it was weird yelling. And then there was another report that came out of Orangeville about 4 people in a car that had something similar happen to them, where they gave way to the road to an open pasture, thought a deer was coming out, slowed down to stop, and saw almost something similar to what I said. They report was a man-sized jackrabbit. And it's almost a parallel inside of 10 miles between where this is to the next local town. And it's all in all these little bushes. Yeah. They then start telling me since the late 20s there's been reports of this kind of stuff up in this area because of all the orchards.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you had a food source, right?
Right. But then that's your question. It was weird. The day and going out there, and because as shocking as it was, and it made me afraid, looking back, that moment seemed, if I could say, crystalline in a weird way in terms of perception. The recollection of everything and what happened is the math is there. But before and almost afterwards, it almost seemed like this ether in the atmosphere of like how I felt about the day. When you're like on cloud 9, you meet that lady, you're going home, what did I just walk 10 blocks? That seemed like 30 seconds. You know, it was like one of those time slip moments or something in a weird way. And it's really hard to define and talk about because it's, you know, it's a feeling thing more than a way to really be able to describe it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you have a recollection? We're going to get into a break here. And so I want you to think about this. Do you have a memory prior to you seeing that where you felt the day was electric, or did you? Because a lot of people, and I'm going to use this example, but when I see a car crash, if I witness a car crash, for some reason the rest of that day is charged. If you witness something that charges you, or whatever, it kind of sticks with you throughout the rest of the day. So, do you have an example of where? And the reason I want you to think about this, where you felt that charge in the energy before you even saw this creature.
Okay.
Yeah, think about that, because there's a reason, because I think it goes back to a theory that one of our other guests had on the show, and I'll share that with you and the rest of the audience when we get back. Okay. But we're talking with our good friend, Ed Roman. We're not talking about music. I promise you, we're talking about paranormal and his experiences. We'll be back in a few.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
Yes, it is. This is the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and podcast. I am your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us here live every weeknight from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or on the web at www.themidnightocean.com. Of course, if you're joining us for the very first time on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, join us on Facebook by typing in The Midnight Ocean. If you want to become a Midnight Listener, you can also type in Midnight Listener and join that group as well. Love to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter at themnocean.com. Now, I'm going to tell you guys this because I do see some more people coming into the chat room. We have implemented a new rule. I want you to hear this and hear this clear because it will not, well, it will be said again. But there will be no mercy given. The hammer will fall. And I hate to do this because, you know, guys, if you know me and know my personality, I hate extremism. I really do. It's not in my nature. I'm a can't we all get along kind of guy. But unfortunately, we have to resort to this sometimes. The rule is this: if you are in the chat room, no personal attacks. If I catch you or hear of you attacking another member or anybody in the chat room personally, you are gone. And don't try to play around and skirt the rules either. I don't go for that either. Just keep it clean. Keep it to the topic at hand. That's the best way to stay out of trouble. The other rule to that is if you respond to, and I know it's hard, I really do. People want to defend themselves. I get that. Trust me, I will defend for you by giving the L boot. But if you respond, you are gone as well. All right? I'm going to keep it clean. And I'm sorry that it's come to that. Now, there are some people that don't join the chat room and you still want to participate because participation is half of the show, guys. We want you to participate, especially with our guests and also me. I do. I want to hear what you guys have to say about our topics and things that we do on the show. But I understand if you don't want to do that in a chat, which is what chat is for. We have actually went out and set up a SMS message line for you. How cool is that? The people at Live Ninja provided this to us. And what this allows you to do is you can write this number down, put it in your contact list for the Midnight Ocean, and you can send me an SMS text message. It is 786-574-3652, and I'm actually going to post that in chat one more time. And for those that are on the web, you can actually go out to the website and you can get the number there. And also with the website, you'll see a little blue icon in the bottom right-hand corner. You can actually SMS us right from that icon. Pretty cool technology we're using here. So we've given you plenty of opportunities to communicate with us. Make sure it's proper. You don't, trust me, you don't want to be the person to test this. You really don't. And for those that are listening and everything, so self-police, guys. Self-police. If you guys see something that's inappropriate, let me know right away, and I will deal with it. But I don't want to take up our guest's time because I know he's a very busy man. He's got to get packed as he comes down here to the lower 48. He's got to get going and stuff. But so Ed, right before we took a break, I asked you, was the day itself truly like electrifying day from the beginning? And do you know of an example, or do you feel that maybe because of what you saw made you hypersensitive to the rest of the day?
I think it's a little bit of both, but okay. Now looking back in reflection, there was so much occurring. And I'll start off by saying, like, with life matters. Okay. Between us building our barn, okay. the moving of 15 tons of brick in order to, by hand, brick by brick, build this wood kiln for firing pottery. Kim, my wife, going to a spiritual medium to have the connection to her lost cousin in a tragic car accident. This relationship to a visitation from my father triggering a heavy smell memory. Wow. All relating to, for me personally, Jeff, the idea of living in a place where I can grow food and have the basic necessities of life, like clean water from a well and my health and open space. All of that is those baseline feelings that even my father, for me, was excited for in my life. That things that he wanted me to pursue. Not that he wanted me to be a farmer or whatever it was, but this is kind of whatever you do, what you need in your life, because it'll keep you strong, healthy, and happy. And I guess in a weird way, it was that moment was this weird exclamation point in the after effect of the realization that the culmination of all these heavy emotions and connections to things of my friends that had passed through this medium, as I had mentioned, Kim's cousin, this visitation, the barn, all of this effort into a passion that we're really passionate about our houses, where we make music, where we make pottery, where we record music. So I guess in a weird way, it was like I said, the exclamation point. Here I am. Yeah. This is the power and the strength of, I don't know how to define it, of the unity of your connectiveness to who you are as an animal, sure. Ed, you know?
Sure. Well, I mean, the reason why I asked that is because, see, I am of the belief, and this is I don't have any way of proving it yet, because I have not seen a crypto like that. So I haven't experienced that. But my thing is this: is I actually think these I don't want to say animals, these beings, heck, they're kicking the crap out of us in tag or hide and seek right now, so they're probably highly intelligent, more so than us. But these beings actually are on a different wavelength, kind of, because light, as you know, we only perceive a very, very minute amount of frequency as far as light goes in our eyes. And then on top of that, then you have the perception. So you have these imagery that gets shot to your eyes, and then your brain processes them and turns them into what we think it is an image or what we see. So there's two parts there. And I actually believe my theory about these creatures or these beings is that they're there all along. They're around us everywhere we go. The problem is that number one, they're at a different light phase, so you can't see them. And then number two, your mind can't perceive them. In other words, even if you did see them, you can perceive them. So what happens is when people are in hypersensitive mode, i.e. kids, like you said, kids are hypersensitive. If you've been around kids long enough, you know that their perception is uncanny. They see things that are just unbelievable with a lot of imagination tied into it, but they really do see things. They're almost hypersensitive because their brains are in that sponge mode and they're absorbing everything they possibly can. So I think what happened for you is that you put yourself in a state of hypersensitivity through all of everything that went on, through the workout, the dealing with the feelings and all that stuff, and that allowed you to see this creature.
I'm on the same page, man, because to dimensional physics, I mean, with the level of 11 or 13 different dimensional planes that they know theoretically exist, and to me, I agree. Even the times where I've been, in a desperate situation where it's like a car situation, and I remember I was coming up, it was realigned 404 highway, and it's this big S in it because of it. Bridges are being built and roads are icy, and I'm in this spin accident scenario with 16 other cars that I see bumping around off of each other like bumper cars at the circus or something. And this woman, I remember seeing her slide up against the guardrail, and she was screaming, and it was like I wasn't touched. Yeah. I was spinning, and I don't know how I got through it. And I remember after everything had happened and the dust settles, you get home and you're talking to your family about it. And the first thing I said is, Dad was with me. Like, somehow I knew right away. I didn't look over in the passenger seat and see him sitting there, but I had that feeling. And I think that's what it is. Even when I need guidance, I call I go to my friend's grave. I go to whatever it is, however I want to connect on that level. You're right. I would agree 100%. Looking back now, it's like I said, when you left me on the break, here I am scribbling going, Dad, Bigfoot, childlike, life matters. There was all this stuff that was happening in the house, the building of the barn. Yeah, there's the math right there.
Yeah. Yeah, because even when I'm doing these shows, like, when you're, how do you say, when you're not aware of something, and, like I said, I'd listen to the old classic Art Bell shows and all of that. So I had that exposure. But I've noticed even in myself that since I've been doing these shows the last month, going on 2 months now, that I've become hypersensitive to a lot of things now. I don't look at the world the same way that I did 2 months ago. And it's weird. It's kind of like when you're shown that whole esoteric concept, when you're shown the things that most people don't see. And what's really crazy is it's all out there for us to see, for us to experience, but yet we're so distracted with, who's going to win the football game? Who's going to, how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to, whatever. If you slow down long enough, it is a bizarre, I had an experience last week, and this is going to lead to my next question for you, where you've seen the movie The Matrix, right?
Absolutely.
Where I was walking down my hall and my world turned into like The Matrix. And it was it was like instant. It wasn't like it was there forever. And I was sitting there going, I haven't tripped in years. It's been, look, I'm clean. I am clean. If you know my story, you'll know that Jeff Norton's not on any drugs, and that they've been out of my system long enough. I've gone long enough that I know that I'm not getting any residual from it. But it was a weird, like a Matrix-like feeling. And what was bizarre about it is it kind of vibrated and then it came back together. In other words, the imagery is like I'm not seeing the walls, but I'm perceiving the walls are there, but I'm not seeing them. And then the vibration came and it came back together. And I've been doing some research and talking to guests. Have you ever heard of the Mandela effect?
In terms of what? The visual perceptions of like...
Well, just the Mandela. All right, so here you go.
No, I haven't. Hit me.
All right, so do you like bologna?
Well, I haven't had it in years, but I'll dig a little bologna.
You've done so. Oscar, what's the name? What's the last name of the company? Oscar
Mayer.
All right. So write that down. I want you to write that down.
Okay, just the last, right?
Oscar Mayer. Yep.
Okay.
The other one is, have you ever watched on HBO? They had a series that ran for years called Sex.
Sex, HBO?
It was it was Sex. I'm not finishing the name of the show. Did you ever watch
Sex in the City.
Sex in the City. Write that down.
Sex in the City. Okay.
All right, you got it?
Got it.
All right. Those two shows, that show and Oscar Mayer never existed.
Oscar Mayer and Sex in the City.
That's right. Even though you said it, I didn't tell you what to say.
No, because it's already in the programs of my consciousness through television programming.
That's right. But wait a minute. If you go and Google, it's Sex and the City, and it's Oscar Mayer, not Meyer.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. All right. So this is the theory behind the Mandela effect.
Oh, I'm getting you, man.
The Mandela effect is basically that CERN or whoever has opened up an alternative timeline, or not an alternative timeline, but another universe, because we're multiverse. Physics tells us that. That's why I want to get John Hutchins on. I don't, the gravity stuff that he did was cool, but I want him to talk about the physics and the multiverse. So what has happened is that CERN, the theory is that CERN has opened up basically with what they're doing there, that they created a multiverse. And what happens now is that one world, one dimension is bleeding in to the other dimension, and they're kind of mixing together. And Oscar Mayer, or as we knew it, and Sex and the City as we knew it, has been replaced by Sex and the City. If you Google it, I mean, it's funny. There's even people that, like, on the Sex and the City, I haven't been able to find the old, like, any kind of marketing, but there are people that actually have, like, Polaroids, pictures of Oscar Mayer.
Like dogs. A package?
Yeah, packaging. And it says Oscar Mayer.
So what, hypothetically, if we went to YouTube and we went to 70s commercials and we went, what is it?
Mayer.
Mayer? Are you sure?
Yep.
I can't remember how it starts. It has a first name. It's Oscar.
It's like a name.
If you sing it every day and you ask me why, I'll say, because Oscar Mayer has a way with BLOGNA. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Oscar Mayer.
So, but if we found the commercial from the 70s, would it say Mayer?
Nope. It's Mayer.
But the collective consciousness of everybody knows it as Oscar Mayer.
As Oscar Mayer.
So that's what you're talking about.
Exactly.
They've opened up another dimensional port with a slip.
Yeah.
In it.
Yeah. So they're bleeding together.
You know who I heard talking about this was David Wilcock.
Yeah.
I think he refers to it as the bump.
Yeah, the bump. Yeah, it's crazy though. So who knows? You might be a well-known author, man. I'm going to change the whole thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with our good friend Ed Roman, author of I Am Love.
Well, I was just going to say, you're talking about all that, the matrixing in the hallway. Like,
yeah,
dude, you're pretty much Jewing heavy positivity, So in a way, you're saying you're opening up more to these kinds of concepts. I mean, that's a big part of the vibrational aspect to, I think, what allows you to feel and understand what those things are.
Yeah.
Even mediums themselves, after the fact, they've been to a location, they got to clean themselves almost and decompress, because it can be really hard for them because they are wound up in a very positive frame. And all of a sudden they're like, "What? Get off of me!" There's things trying to attach themselves to them, and in some cases their descriptions are otherworldly.
Yep.
I've even heard of alien-like aspects to multiple dimensional hauntings that go back to stuff that was related to property owners, stuff that was there prior to property owners that deals with indigenous people, stuff that deals with like cosmic stuff from like outer space. So, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's, I mean, it is. I mean, one of the things that you're absolutely right, I have to do is kind of cleanse myself.
You have to.
Yeah, because you do carry a lot of this stuff, especially when you're hypersensitive to it. And
music and the arts, man, I have to say, is a big helper for that, because that cathartic aspect to the culmination of emotions and thought and releasing it in this positive way, whether it's something that's, intense or something really beautiful, it's all part of that venting thing. I think that's really why I also gravitated to it in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you. I get this asked a lot. I write software on the side for fun, right? But cool. you write music. So my question is have you ever drummed? Have you ever in a drunken stupor? Have you ever had a dream of a song and then wrote it down? You woke up and actually wrote it down and then cut the record.
Absolutely. I was living with a bunch of guys, and it's called the Soup Kitchen. We had a band called Soup in the City. And
Soup in the City.
Well, it's called Soup, but we were living in the city, so I mean Soup in the City. But I woke up and I had this dream about being a primordial man, a caveman, and this melody, this weird was in my head. It was like a 16-bar phrase.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was, but I sat there at the edge of my bed with my bass, picking it out of my head, trying to go, no, that's not it. No, it's this note. Then it's supposed to go here. And before I knew it, I had this sort of collage that sort of said, well, and I was like, what the heck is this? How do I even chord this? But then it led me into that whole topic of like the thought process behind the dream and the melody and why I was being the caveman. So I have this a lot actually with things that are like that. I wrote a tune called The Wild Gnome that was kind of like that. It's more like a spoken word thing too, but that's the thing about writing is that, again, when you allow yourself that quiet time to open up to certain things, it is a crazy conduit in a dreamlike state. My bathtub is a prime example for this water-based old metal claw, in the old part of the house, 1866 feeling. So it's like I'm in there and I'm feeling like already things coming to me. I'm saying things to myself. I don't even know where they're coming from.
Yeah. And I'm finding more and more, this is like Jeff Norton's little research project. Like I write software, I write code. I will tell you that almost 80% of the code I write, I dream about it first.
That's wild.
I'll go to bed and I'll dream about it. And what's really funny is that side of the business, because obviously I'm doing this now, has gone down. But last night, great point, and this is actually timely. Last night, I've been working on a project for a customer for about 2 weeks, and we can't figure out why their system is doing what it's doing. We're looking at the code, we're reviewing stuff, couldn't figure it out. Last night, I go to bed after the show, and I was pretty upset. So I was in a heightened state because of everything. Everything that went on last night's show. So I was anger, and there were some other things and stuff. I actually dreamt what the problem was, and sure enough, I got up today, went in the server, and that's exactly what the problem was. It wasn't like I figured it out. I dreamt the problem. I was sitting there, and in my dream, I'm sitting there watching myself, and I hear this kind of like how you fix a problem when you're awake. You like go through the process of, hey, do this, does this work, get a bigger hammer. All the different things. I did that in my dream, and sure enough, that was the issue. So I woke up this morning, went right into the server, and that's the issue. Now I got to fix it. But I know what the issue is. And in the meantime, it was here's a story. I didn't get around to fixing it because I had to move a humidifier, and my foot. I was out chopping wood. And I dropped about a year ago, and I dropped a huge pry bar on my foot. That you hold up the logs. It was, and so I broke my foot. My foot finally healed where I can put it in a sneaker. I haven't been able to. I'm in Florida, so I wear Birkenstocks anyways. I'm a hippie, so it was no big deal. But my foot finally got down small enough so I can fit it in a tennis shoe. So I was like, yeah, cool. And sure enough, today I was helping Sandy move a humidifier. Slipped out of my hand. Guess what? Right on the foot.
Fell on the foot
Same
again.
Thing.
No.
The foot is like so today I wasn't able to fix the thing because my foot had to stay propped up because now we're worried about compartment syndrome because I damaged the vessels before and they weren't quite healed. They were, but they weren't. And then bam, did this a 40-pound dehumidifier. Wow.
Yeah, you don't want it to compartmentalize and hemorrhage or anything.
Yeah, that's the same thing. So that's, but no, I didn't bring that up so I can get sympathy on my foot.
No.
But what I'm saying is that I can honestly say 80% of all my when I write stuff for software, 80% of it I will dream way ahead of the time that I actually write it. I don't sit down at my computer and go, oh, what am I going to write now? It's already written. It's just I just got to translate it. So
well, then let me ask you then a question because when you realize that, like for me, talking about it, it's like I was like 6, and I remember I was having trouble skating, and falling down all the time, slipping, weak ankles, all that stuff, right? Yep. Have the dream.
Yep.
Next morning, get up, get the skates on, out in the pasture, skating.
Let me tell you, and I have family members that live that listen to the show, so this is no lie because they know me. I am the type of guy, you can give me a book and I can fly the plane, and I've done it. Literally, just give me the book and I can actually do it. Give me, whatever subject matter you want me to learn. All you have to do is give me the book and I can do it. If I wanted to learn how to ski, when we lived in northern Michigan, I wanted to learn how to ski. And my parents didn't know this, not at all. And we'd take the snowmobile to the ski hill, and I was like, that's fun. And I watched a couple people do it, and sure enough, I was skiing away. So I'm one of those people where I pick up on stuff. But hey, guess what? Another break. This is what happens when you have a great conversation, because this segment got away from us. I'm getting yelled at in the ear. We're a minute behind. So let's take a quick break. We'll get back. Ed, can you stay on? I know you got other things going on. So
I got about a half hour, and then I got to put up signs out on the roadways around town for our open house.
Okay. All right. We'll take a quick break. And then when we get back, we'll have our dear friend Ed. We'll wrap this conversation up. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I sure in the heck am. But you're listening to Jeff Norton, the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and podcast. Join us here every weeknight from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. We'll be back in a few.
Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
welcome back. This is the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and a podcast. My name is Jeff Norton. Join us on the web at www.themidnightocean.com or right here live every weeknight from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Hey, we got some new features that we've added to the website. Get over there and take a look. First of all, we have an Android app that you can download and put the Android app directly on your Android device and get us live. And also all of our old shows. And don't you iPhone people don't feel left out. We got you too. There's an iPhone there as well. So get that installed, and that way you can carry us with you 24/7. All of our old shows are also listed there. So if you want to listen to an old show, you can do that as well. And YouTube, of course, make sure you hit that ever most important subscribe button. Follow us on Facebook and that. One of the other features that we have added to the site, and I will tell you that I have to make an apology to the Underground Resistance Network. Just hang in there. Wait your time out. You've been sent to the penalty box. LMAO and Oh My OMG were in the ban list. I have removed those. Those are not definitely. I say those all the time. I say even worse. So that's fine. No, it wasn't NyQuil. It was OMG and it was LAMO. Let her know. That was it. That's what got her sent to the penalty box of all people. But without further ado, I want to bring our good friend back because we're on a very limited schedule. He only has one more session left, and I'm going to hate saying goodbye to our good friend Ed, but I understand life goes on. Ed, wait a minute. You're putting open house banners up. Is it not dark there in Canada?
It'll be midnight when I start, yeah. Because the doors open here at 8:30, and we run till 5. So instead of going out, it's supposed to rain early in the morning, and there's more traffic on a Saturday, and I'm out on a major highway in some places trying to help out my wife. So I'm going to get it done. But I was going to say, you mentioned the chat room and the rules and regulations. Good on you, because to me, the topic may be robust, but decorum is important and staying on topic. When it comes to character assassination and stuff, you've lost me.
Yeah, and that's the. I mean, I understand people have heated beliefs and people have pasts. It's. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but this is not the place, right? Right. I mean, this is not, we have to do that because the problem is I actually had 2 complaints that came back to me yesterday, or I got them today, where people were like, they sent me messages, said, "Hey man, I love your show, but wow, it's turning into one of those, I just leave it alone." But, one of the things that just drives me nuts here in the States, you'll see, I'll read an article on school children getting along or something, just a great article, right? It's just a good news article. And then you got, right under that, you got Obama. If Obama would have it, these kids would be fighting with each other. If Obama, it's like, guys, I understand we're pissed off. We're really upset at our government and the people that are running our government. But, this was a beautiful story. I don't know. It's just, sometimes you go overboard where it's sickening. Yeah. Well,
I know, and that's the thing about the media. It always likes to push that big red, oh my gosh button, right? It's so hard to find. Even in subway papers, they're the little stories at the back that are kind of, 40 words or something, but that's why you got to keep the vibration high, man, with the love button.
That's us, and that's how I am. It's like, look, we all get along.
I was thinking too, the whole thing with CERN and on the break. So okay, here's me going, you're going, okay, I'm going to LA. I might be doing this stuff with all this franchise stuff. So could it have been that somebody else purchased it and based on that one thing with the Patterson-Gimlin film with that clip that somebody bought the rights, the hand is in a slight different position. So they, is it the wording that they've slightly changed because of new ownership? But then again, I'm on the same boat as you, so now I'm going to start doing all this research, trying to figure out what else has, slipped the envelope.
Well, and if you look at them, there's a bunch. There's Bradison Bears. I'm not familiar with those, so I don't talk about it. I'll only try to talk with what I'm familiar with. And the reason why I'm so out of Sex in the City is when I lived in Chicago, I used to go to Sex in the City parties, where, you know, like viewing parties with my friends. And so I know what the name of the freaking show was.
Well, and same thing with the Oscar Mayer with the tune in your head. It's like Bumblebee Tuna or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'll get certain people that are like, Mayer. It's Mayer. It's always been Mayer. And it's like, no, it's not. It's been Mayer.
So I hope I don't go off a Bumblebee Tuna.
Yeah, Bumblebee. Bumblebee. No, and it's crazy, but there is a whole movement right now, the Mandela effect. I mean, they're talking about the reason why they call it Mandela is that, you know, Mandela, he just passed away recently, right? Well, there's some people that think that he died years ago in the timeline. So they're like, well, wait a minute, Nelson Mandela's been, but see, things like that, I kind of discount those types of situations. I don't want to discount someone's experience, don't get me wrong, but I'll discount that because you have Mark Dice here who goes on and interviews people on the streets and they can't even tell you who the president is.
Right.
You know, so that kind of stuff, you know, when people tell me that, but I can tell you firsthand for me, Sex in the City was the show.
Oscar Mayer, baby.
Was not Mayer. Meyer was the thing. Now there's Bernstein Bears, There's a lot of different examples where there, and what these are little twists in the, you know, they're subtle. They're subtle. And I, you know, at first when I was told about this, I knew that the Tavistock Institute in England was all about social engineering. So I was thinking that maybe they're messing with our heads to see how much they can manipulate us, you know, like the thought police. Because, you know, if you look at Orwell's book, that's what the thought police did. They would change stories or they would change names of things and cut things out and get rid of stuff. So I'm like, I'm wondering if they're doing this on purpose. Some agencies doing this to see how far they can get away with us. But then someone hooked me up with the Mandela effect and said, no, that's the Mandela effect.
Well, and then it, you know, conjures like, what color is the dress?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, a lot of people I've talked to feel it's a PSYOP program, and in some way, being able to sociologically or anthropologically decide the semantics and trying to decide on what it actually is. The idea is pumped out by the university. It is then labeled as this kind of a thing, and then it's the suggestion of what it really is offered at the end, so it's accepted. So like you said, people don't know who the president is or whatever it is on the street. This is a thing I've talked about with my producer, with Michael Jack. It's like, look, you know, I think people can be extremely intelligent. They can be extremely smart and when they're focused, but that's the problem. There are so many aspects to the 21st century that defocus us from certain things that have higher consequence in our daily life that you go, what do you mean you don't know who's running? You know, like...
Yeah. I mean, I watch those Mark Dice. It's scary. But like I said, well, people are distracted. People are already, you know... I don't know. They're already thinking about their football team, or they're already thinking about what it's all one big distraction. But if you can get away from it, and one thing I will have to say about doing this show is that this has limited my time in sitting in front of the idiot box.
Well, guys, we don't watch it. We don't have cable. I mean, we got rid of our TV. The only thing we ever do is maybe watch Netflix movies or something like that. But they're usually documentaries.
Yeah. Yeah,
but that's the thing, I guess, too, you know, like with everything on topic, and I mean, so eloquently as you put in terms of perception, this is the thing, I guess, for me, and why people say, you know, you said, well, Ed, you're a good crazy, but like, I mean, because I live outside of the Matrix, even in the song, Falling from the Matrix is what can set you free in the I Am Love tune. I try to do that every day as much as I, by choice through my occupation, need to participate in a multitude of technological things every day. Also keep it at an arm's length because I know it's a tool, not my life.
Yeah. No, you're right. But you know what's really crazy? That song, That's why we end our show every night with that song, by the way.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
I mean, that one and the Wolfman. And the Wolfman, I'll tell you, the Wolfman's a dig at Sandy. And let me tell you why. I got in so much trouble because of you with Sandy. Because here, I mean, if you know, I've got you're not on YouTube, but I got the gray coming in with the little, you know, the goatee going, and it's got the stripes in it. And I told Sandy, I said, how cool would it be to do a radio show on Saturday where, you know, I get real gross, you know, like the Wolfman, you know. All right, everybody, it's the Wolfman coming back. That's right. Yeah. Grab your growl, you know, and do that. And I said, that would be awesome to do like a 2-hour show of old, like 1950s, 60s, you know, bebop music and stuff. Oh. And you know, the cruising with and do that on a Saturday, every Saturday, just do that show. And she looked at me, she goes, have you lost your mind? And then, you know, when I told her, I said it was Ed's idea.
You should have told her you already bought the Acapulco shirt.
Yeah. Oh, I do have those already.
Yeah, me too.
I got the hats, and when I go down to Puerto Rico, I always got to stop into the hat shop.
But you got to have the full foo with the mustache down to the goatee, right?
Yeah, I do. That's what I got.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you got that, you're live. But you see, that's the thing, Jeff. It's like, okay, even in that tune, with those things that Wolfman is saying, it's like whether he was with big CBS at the time or he was doing his pirate radio thing. The pirate
out of Texas, yeah.
That whole connection to people loving the host because of their vibe is what really made rock and roll flourish.
Yeah.
And that today shows like this and what we're doing is like that in a way. We have far more license to be able to talk about what we do than the other programs, let's say, that are, you know, commercialized. Yeah. So to me, it is like, you know, you're getting away with a little crime here, and in a good way, in a very positive way. So I mean, you make me just feel like I want to tip out the door when you play it. You tell me you played at the end of the show to close the show.
Oh, dude, great, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that you've been doing it all the time. I had no idea.
I end the show. It's Be Love. Remember to be love, and then boom, I go right into your song. That one, and then I finish with the Wolfman.
Oh man, thank you so much.
Oh no, dude, when I hit 2 or 3 million, your record albums are gonna. When I have 2 or 3 million listeners, like the old Art Bell, your record sales are gonna go up.
Jeff has free concert tickets to all my shows across North America, including limousine service.
Don't say that. Don't say that. No, it's just a great song. All your music, I will have to say, I mean, I really haven't got, but the Red Omen, that whole Red Omen album that you did is incredible. And for people that have not gone out there and listen, go out to YouTube or not YouTube, go out to, because I play the whole album. There's no reason for them to buy it. They go out to Amazon and you get the clips. But I will tell you, that whole Red Omen album that you did is awesome. The one that I lay one down, I love that song. Red Omen, of course, I love that. I mean, all of it. Time itself is great. There's a couple, though, that I can't play because I get dinged. I think Lay One Down? It was the one that you did for some veterans group?
The Veterans Association. Yes, that's it. That's it.
That's the one. Yeah, I always get a YouTube copyright strike for that one, and then I have to tell them. But, you know, this is what's funny. When I submit the strike, I said, well, here's Ed. And then I have Michael. I have the thing where Michael gave me permission. I said, well, the guy was on my show and said I can play it. And
man.
Yeah, but I always get a strike for those two. But I don't ever get one. I Am Love, they don't care. They don't care about I Am Love.
Those crazy algorithms.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to tell you, Possum 1010 says, Jeff, please tell Ted we love his music, especially the Be Love song. See, by the way, I changed the name of the song. It's called Be Love. No.
But that's what I say. Be love, be it, you know. No, try your hardest.
That is me. That song, and you know what's really cool? That song is this show. If you think about it, it all boils down to, you know, the man behind the major, you know, come out to the curtain and then be love. At the end of the day, just be love.
Dude, and it's sometimes the hardest for us to do because we're so swept up in craziness or whatever it is. But when that reaction happens at the worst moment in time, it changes everybody's perception, especially when it's visualized, when it's shown, when it's demonstrated in some kind of a way. And you know, it could be in your home, it could be in your community, nationally, whatever it is. The point is that like the negative effect of what the expected response is always that primal aspect to who we are. Yeah. The angelic to me or spiritual aspect is the recognition of how it makes us feel. It may make us feel terrible, but instead I'm going to hug you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right, man. I mean, how do I say? We were talking about this on a show with Lori McDonald. Is that and Sasha? I had Sasha on, and she does a show on BBS. But we were talking about how negativity always seeks positive. It does, and that's the whole karma thing. If you hold negativity inside you, it's going to release itself eventually. And, you know, and it could be, and that's that whole karma effect. But we were talking about it's so much easier, though, just to be positive.
But I think that's part of the human condition, too, in that regard, is that it's sometimes not until later that, like with the other things that we spoke of, that you realize, wait a minute, I had to go through this. I mean, there's like, okay, I didn't have to climb the bus shelter and fall off because I was drunk when I was 16.
Yeah,
that's a whole. I didn't. But my point is, example-wise, right?
But that kept you from climbing the radio tower when you were 22.
Yeah, I mean, later now you go, I don't climb bus shelters or higher elevated things when consuming alcohol. You know? Yeah. But I think you then again that sort of correlation of feeling of like, okay, that was really a drag. Yeah. But I learned so much from it, and I can laugh about it now, we always say, right?
Yeah. Well, thank God you can laugh about it. You didn't die. But yeah, no.
Well, I mean, in New Jersey, I was down last year playing Cape May for the music festival. 2 days before, I slip off of a curb in Orangeville. I know I probably snapped or cracked something in my ankle. Well, duct tape. And 13 hours of driving later, here I am playing with that foot in a swollen, shoe, and, driving in a rainstorm to get there and all the way back again. But all of that stuff with heart songs was a byproduct of that event.
Oh, wow. So, there you go, the experience.
So, just like suck it up. And in the end, my foot, my wife's driving. It's like torrential rain on the way through Jersey. And it's like somebody's spraying a fire hose in the front of the car. And, it's like getting there late at night. Everything is closed. All of that just in the culmination of it is like, oh, now I can see where it's really made a connection in a way. It was tough to deal with, but...
See, I'm a firm believer every experience is gearing you up for the next one. I really am. I'm coming to that conclusion that everything we go through is for a reason. And it's someone used to tell me, well, God never gave you anything you couldn't handle. And so when we were younger, you always thought that he gave us everything, threw it all on us at once. But now I'm learning is that no, he's giving it to us in bits and pieces. And,
it's funny, too, even on a career level, and you probably are sympathetic to this feeling that so many of the things, Jeff, that we've worked towards to get to where we are today, and now feeling that positive space that I'm in, working the way that I am, doing what I am with my craft, I realized at 23, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for all of the kind of stuff, but then it gives me that sense of hope like you do, that as I keep going, I'm getting stronger as I'm doing this. And that's what it's all about, I guess.
I could have told you if I was successful in business or whatever at the age of 23, I probably would be overdosed dead now or something.
Or just this, I think it has to do more with that, like, Paulo Coelho alchemist aspect to it, where, like, if you've ever read the book, the story is the boy's told his treasures in Egypt at the pyramids. Yeah. And he sets out on this long journey that takes him years to get there. And he finally gets to the, pyramids, and there's nothing but sand.
Yeah.
And he realizes, my God, it's the journey, the people, the things that I've seen. This is what has made my life rich.
Yeah, exactly. I'm there with you, brother. Especially every night. I mean, think about it. I don't envy your life, but I respect it and everything. I mean, being a musician, I always wish I was a musician. I play a mean radio, though. I'm really good at the radio. Yeah, trust me. Just don't ask me to pronounce the people's names. But other than that, or the artists' names, but I'm really good. I've always, wanted to be a musician and stuff. But, I look back at it and I'm like, you know what, though? Being on this side of the microphone is not that bad because I get to talk to all the cool cats. I mean,
and without people like you, dude, though, and shows like this, that's where this happens for me too. Having wonderful conversations, not just about the music, but everything that sort of culminates in life. That without people like you that are enthusiasts, and I always talk about John Hammond. I mean, with the whole Monterey Pop Festival and the type of artists that he brought together so the public had that exposure, those are just as important as the people that wrote the tunes.
Yeah, because, no one here. And that's the other thing, too, is that my goal in life now is to expand my, to get out, and I'm definitely doing a good job at it with the show, concepts, but to expand that with, because if you're so narrow-minded and you're, A-B kind of guy, I want the full alphabet, and then I want the whole number. I want it all. I want to expand my whole consciousness, and it's awesome. I can tell you.
And it's happening because like you just said too, it's like all the people that you get to talk to, and your framework gets incredibly huge. Excuse the pun. It's like the Mandela effect. Your consciousness is getting to that tapestry-like flavor because it's like it's enriching you.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. I thoroughly enjoy it. But hey, next week, let's talk about next week. Are you coming down? Are you coming down to the borough?
I can't actually be there. There's so much going on here in Canada, and no.
Hey,
I know.
Can I accept an award for you?
You could if you wanted, unless Mike Stouffer's going to do it. But I was telling Cold Chambers, it was like not last year, but the year before, I was down and they had me play. If they had asked me to play, I would be there in a heartbeat. But there's so many other things going on. I'm like, and it's the same thing with the Josie show. I just couldn't make it. I just picked up the artist, pop contemporary. Sorry, tripping over my own words. Pop contemporary artist of the year, and Stover picked up my award. I got it in the mail, and I get up at 7:30 in the morning. I'm out doing stuff in the barn, and now at this time of the year, we're trying to get all the vegetables and everything processed. Then I'm writing tunes, or I'm doing interviews in the day, writing articles. I got a bunch of gigs coming up in the next little while. Big independent music night here in Toronto on the 4th. So it's just like, oh man. If you ask me to play, I will be there because then it's just like this other envelope of existence for me at that moment.
Yeah, but they just want you to be in the audience. Well, darn.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to, because someone at Mitsu would probably go, wait a minute, Jeff Norton. Hey, he owes us parking tickets or something. When I was a student, they'll tackle me or something. They're like, I'll be walking off the stage with your award, getting the next picture, I'll be in handcuffs for unpaid library fees.
He's been living out of state in Florida. We got him now, boys.
Yeah, that's right. So when are you coming down here? When are you going to be down in Tampa?
Well, actually, that's a good question. And we're in the midst of working out a spring and summer tour for the United States, and actually, coincidentally, with Heart Songs and Jill Palvel. She is getting me down to do a lot more work in the spring for different events for those association days. So I'm happy to play anywhere where anybody will have me. And as it is, Jeff, there's money, there's travel, there's all sorts of different stuff that plays into it. So when I get there, dude, if you're still there and you're not in jail because of parking tickets in Tennessee, we're going to hang, man. We'll do it. We'll do a live show.
We'll get together. No, absolutely. If you're within, I'm telling you, man, if you cross the Mason-Dixon line, you better be calling me.
And my mom, she's down there she's down in Clearwater, usually 2 or 3 months a year. She's always saying, come down, come down, come down. So maybe what I should just do is go, okay, I'm coming to see you, Mom. Yeah. And make a whole thing out of it. Stay down there for a couple, 3 weeks and do some playing.
Yeah. No, we'll put some things together. Get in trouble.
I like.
We get in trouble. I mean, there's well, unfortunately,
but see, then you're going to have to cater to my weird food personality, like gator on a stick.
Oh, absolutely.
Shark or grouper steaks.
Tomorrow is Peanut Festival in Williston, Florida, and it was funny when we moved to Florida. I told Sandy, I said, I'm not really a Floridian until I see a natural alligator. I don't want to see one pinned up, or I want to see one like I'm walking down the street and I have to step sideways because the alligator's standing there, right? I want to see that. And we hit so tomorrow is definitely going to be fried gator and grouper is the big thing tomorrow, yeah.
And once you've been chased by like amphibians or sea life, and you really are back into the food chain, that's when you really feel alive.
Yeah, that's true.
The same thing happened to me with a land crab in Jamaica, and this thing was like the size of an old ladder back chair from a kitchen.
Yeah,
and I messed up my knee playing football. We're walking down the street, it comes clackering out of this bush, and I'm like, "What the heck is that?"
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like crabs. Sandy, that's the inside joke. We stayed at a place in North Carolina one time, and we were walking along, and they're shifty little creatures.
They are.
Yeah, I don't trust anything that walks sideways. and by the way, can walk sideways faster than I can run forward.
Well, that's just it. With a bad knee, he was catching up.
Yeah. Yeah.
My wife's in heels. She's click, 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 click. I hear the crab behind me. I'm like, I'm going to get eaten by this thing, man.
Yep. Hold on.
I already would have it. Here I'm thinking, how much I love seafood. I'll be consumed by seafood.
So here you go. The first guy in chat room, man. Someone had to test me. In chat room. I hate to cut you off because you're my thing, but it's just,
I'll push the button.
The ban.
Right.
There's always a clown, always a joker.
Always. That's okay, man. You'll fix it.
Yeah, no,
you're in control.
That or I'll have no more people in chat. then I won't have to worry about it, right? Then I don't have to worry about it. So that's the thing. But oh well, my friend, you get out there. You put up those open houses. Make sure. All right. So this is it. Make sure you have a big flashlight, please.
Yes, have
make
one.
sure you have plenty, your cell phone or whatever camera you're going to have, make sure you have that and that's charged up. Because I don't want to hear about the fact, oh, man, I saw this big old thing walking across the street, but my camera is dead.
Well, see, there's the second, who knows what I could come across in the dark.
At midnight? Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Yeah, especially up here, and there's nobody around. Everybody's asleep. And I'm like out on the side roads driving around. Stars. Open fields, forest, quiet.
You might see the McKenzie brothers, Bill and.
Yeah,
I didn't know if that was going to go over or not. We gotta find those guys. I gotta find that tape. I remember. I remember when we were living in northern Michigan. My brother found that tape, and I got in so much trouble for listening for it. Well, I don't know why I got in trouble. He should have gotten in trouble for allowing me to listen to it.
The Christmas record?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Was it a little bit of language?
It was the language. I think that it was a little risque for me. My brother was 4 years older. He was in high school. I was in junior high or elementary school. Beer hunter.
All right, that's on there. Doug's mom's mouth.
Yeah, Doug's mom. That's right.
When they had frostbite, and his mom put their feet in his mouth to save the feet.
Yep. I gotta find that. That is. That's.
I actually have it on vinyl, Jeff, and I play it every year at Christmas.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Because we had the tape. We had a tape. We didn't have the vinyl. So,
take off to the great wide world.
Yeah.
Geddy Lee.
That was, and it was funny because it was because of him that I went and saw. It was because of that album because Geddy Lee singing the song. I was like, who is that? And
well, me too. Moving pictures and that whole connection to that. It signals.
Yeah. I was I was like, that's Geddy Lee. Oh, and then of course April, I snuck it. Here I am in junior. I was like 7th, 8th grade. And I was like, hey mom, I'm going to go spend the night. We had some friends down. I'm going to go spend the night with my friends. And they're like, okay. Well, their brother, who happened to be, I don't know. Well, looking back, he's probably the high school dope head. And he was like, hey, we're going to go up to Marquette University and we're going to go watch Rush and April Wine. You want to go with us? It's like, here I am in 7th grade, 8th grade. I'm like, hell yeah. But yeah, we snuck out and went. And my first concert was Rush with April Wine opened up for him, and Rush was the main. It was there in Marquette at the university.
That's crazy, dude. That's a fun memory.
But you know what? That tells you when life was good, because think about it. I was like 12 years old and went to a concert. No one said anything. I mean,
but I was at Bachman Turner Overdrive. I was 8.
Yeah, but no one. It was like cool. Now it's just crazy what we've gotten to. Yeah, I was thinking about that just the other day. It's like, like maybe 10, 11, 7th, 8th grade. Yeah, about 10 or 11.
Gordon Lightfoot, I saw at 6. Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, that was our theme song up there in northern Michigan.
Oh, there you go.
That was, I remember when we moved, because we moved to Michigan. My dad was, I always said, I think my dad, you hear about these military guys who piss someone off, and they end up going to some like remote location in the middle. Yeah. That was my dad, I think. I really do. Because we were living in sunny Arizona at Luke Air Force Base. I mean, just sunny. It was beautiful. I mean, it was awesome year round. And in 1979, we went from sunny desert Arizona to 371 inches of snow on Lake Superior in the midst of the winter.
That's kind of interesting in a weird way, because maybe your dad saw something, and here's your connection to the paranormal and all this other stuff, and then he gets moved to another base, like at another location. It's something very Jess Marcel.
Well, I just think, knowing my father, he probably just pissed the colonel off on the base. I don't think it was anything like he saw something or that he wasn't supposed to see. I just think he pissed the guy off.
Norton, come here. You're being moved to a base in far northern Michigan, whether you like it or not.
That's right. We were gonna send you to Alaska, but they didn't want you. So we're gonna put you in northern Michigan in the middle of nowhere. But you know what? Those were great times, man. Those were good times. Going up to the Sioux and hanging out up there, and those were good times.
So did you ever hang out with any Chippewa or
no? Nope. I mean, I'm trying to think. In Oregon, like I said, I believe we had a family friend that was Indian.
Okay.
And that was in Kingsley Field. So that was out in Oregon. And like I said, my parents took us to that powwow. But yeah, no, right. Up in northern, no. We never really, no. Nope.
So you were up in the Sioux. Did you ever get out to Beckwith Island or any of those locations? I guess you never really kind of came across on the Canadian side on that upper half.
I believe, I do remember this. I remember the only time going to, hold on, take it back. We had this thing called, it was called Winter Olympics. And it was for the schools, for all the schools. And I participated in basketball and table tennis. This is funny. When I thought table tennis was the video game table tennis. Like Pong, but no, it's the ping pong. But I was the only one that signed up for it, so I went to go represent my school in table tennis. So I had to learn how to play ping pong. But but we went to Sioux. We went up to we stayed up in the Sioux for that with a family during the Winter Olympics. They did it every year. It was awesome. But I didn't. I never really. We did that, and then the other one is that I remember staying at a diner with my grandparents, because my grandparents are from Michigan, when we first moved there, staying at a diner, or eating at a diner, and we're looking at this Russian ship that apparently plowed into an American ship, and all the Russian guys were pissed. They were all standing on and here, as Americans, we're all looking up, gawking. This is in the middle of the Cold War almost. This is 79, 80. And we're all pointing, gawking at them and laughing, going, you can't drive a freaking ship, and they're embarrassed. They're all looking out at, probably spitting on us.
So is this like north of Traverse City then and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know I was young. I was, you know how it is. Get in the car, we're going somewhere.
Yeah.
And
but you have more the memory of like maybe not, are we there yet, or stopping for fish and chips or something. But,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's one thing I do miss about Northern Michigan, man, is the smoked salmon. Oh, my goodness.
Well, if they'll let me sneak in on the plane and I get down to Florida, I'll bring you something from up here. We got a lot of good smoked salmon up here.
Well, you know what? To be honest with you, there might be a possibility where I'm going to be up there quicker than you're going to be down here.
Coming to Toronto?
Yeah, I'm going to be in Toronto. I stay at, I don't want to tell who the customer is, but Mississauga.
Yeah.
I'm right there with all the tech guys in Mississauga.
Huh.
I'm the only.
So you're literally like Mississauga would be. I'd be there in 45 minutes from my house.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
You're
I'm a quick driver.
Okay. Yeah. All I know is I stay at the hotel that's right by the Lowenbrow plant, right by the airport.
Oh, Labatt's.
Yeah, Labatt's. That's it.
Labatt's. Yeah, I know exactly where you are. It's a 427 and the 401.
Yeah, there's a corporate housing there, Marriott, and all I know. Hopefully, they got the road behind us cleared up. That's where they put me up.
Well, when you come in, then message me, let me know, and I'll come down, and we'll
get out,
shake it up.
Get in trouble.
Get in trouble.
Get in trouble.
No, you don't understand. It's Ed Roman and Jeff Norton. They're okay. Just let them do what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It'd be like Ben Kenobi and Luke Skywalker. You don't need to see the passes. Right?
Yeah, there's no passes. I love Toronto. I really do love Toronto. It's a melting pot of different cultures.
Well, definitely, and that's the thing. I guess Canada's always considered to be like the cultural mosaic, and in Toronto, you've got everything from Little Italy, Little Portugal, Greek Town, Chinatown, the Leaside, there's Leslieville, there's the west end of town, which is like Parkdale, all sorts of different little feelings, and you're only 10 minutes by a cab or less to do all of that great subway system to be able to get in and around the city. We're on the water. It's a really beautiful, beautiful city.
Yeah, no, Sandy wanted, there's a style of winter coat that's made, it's made in Canada. It's like North Face, but it's a different company. And she gave me the name. And so one of our favorite shows that we love is called Heartland. It's a Canadian broadcast show.
Yeah.
And so she wanted this thing. So I remember driving, and I'm going to be honest with you. This is when I'm in my Muslim hating days. Muslim was bad. God has a way of just smacking you around, just beating the crap out of you sometimes. So I'm driving around, and you'll know the area. So I'm driving, looking, and they're like, well, the only place that might sell Altera. That's what it's, the Altera outfit.
Okay. Yeah.
They're like, you got to go to this mall. So I go to this mall, and it's right in the part of Toronto that is like heavy Muslim. I mean, like heavy Muslim, but it's crazy because you got all the guys driving the BMWs, the Mercedes, the Gold, and it was, and I will tell you, I had the most pleasant time. I was sitting, because I don't fall into those stereotypes. So I'm on a mission to find this. So I stopped a lady, she's in a burqa, and I stop her, and she's like looking at me like, yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm looking at my wife, and she keeps on walking. So I'm stopping all these Muslim women, asking them, like, where is this store that I can get this female jacket that my wife wants, that Sandy wants? And finally this dude comes up to me and goes, dude, you cannot be doing that. And I'm like, why? I'm just, and he's like, no, you don't. But the nicest guy you'll ever meet. But yeah, I had a great time.
He just laid it out for you because they're not really supposed to talk to you.
Yeah, you're not.
And it's like,
well, what happens, you get them. He told me, he's like, no, it's not you, it's them.
Right.
They get in trouble for talking to you.
Yeah, and he was just trying to let you, like, here's the lay of the land kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, but he wasn't rude.
But not intimidating in any way.
No, he wasn't. He was purely Canadian. He wasn't rude about it. He's like, dude, you can't be talking. And I was like, why? And he's like, no, it's not you. you can talk to whoever you want to. No, they can't talk to you. They get in trouble.
Right.
You're going to get them in trouble. So, hey, guess what? We got 10 minutes over. Get out there and do those signs, my friend.
Thank you so much, sir. But it's the same thing. I love talking to you, and I love being on the show because it's just like just all these memories and things for me too. Inside of talking about it is like, again, Ed scribbling. Like, it's funny. I was going to say to you, I fill when I talk to you on your show at least 4 or 5 pages of scribbling of material.
That's awesome.
So it's like, for me, if I look at other shows, not like I don't love being on the shows and they're not great, but it's like a half page, or whatever. So I get excited being on your show.
Thanks.
It feeds me, man.
Dude, we love having you.
Thank you so kindly.
You got to listen to some of our older shows when you're like just crapping out, like Sasha. That Sasha show was an awesome show. You might want to listen to that. That tells you a lot.
And that's the funny thing. When I have family come here, or my mom stays with us, or just like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
We'll cook dinner or whatever. And then instead of maybe watching Netflix, I do that. I'll go on and put on other shows. Well, here's this cat that I was on.
Yeah.
And then might listen to the show, but then we'll listen to a bunch of other shows, and we're doing stuff around the house. And it's like, I'm actually listening to more radio than anything. Like my AM radio, talk radio. I love it.
Yeah, I'm trying to hey, if you know any radio stations up there in Canada, let me know, man, that need like late night programming, because we're looking to get, syndication. I don't care where I'm syndicated.
Well, have you ever tried to think about checking out CFRB 1010? That's that would have been Ted Rogers, one of his stations that he had set up, and they're one of the ones that does a lot of great talk radio, as well as 640 AM in Toronto. Now they pull in Nori between 9 and 01 or something.
Yeah, they have Nori.
But try 1010 because they're really interesting for that stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like I said, listen to the Sasha show. She actually, it was funny. She actually started interviewing me halfway through the show. She did. She's like, "That's interesting, Jeff. But how do you feel about this?" And then, of course, I. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wait a minute, you're interviewing me. And she started laughing. She's like, I know.
But sometimes that happens because we know, or it's going to, sort of trigger a response that's going to take the conversation elsewhere. And it's also really intriguing to know what you think sometimes.
Yeah. You don't want to know what I think sometimes.
Well, you know what I'm getting as far as the conversation and the subject matter. It's like, what do you think, man?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's all about communication and conversation. It can't be one side. So, hey, get out there and do those sides. Flashlight and charge video phone. And
and I got my bungees, I've got my sledgehammer, I got my pre-nailing stick, I got all my signs in order exactly the way I want to put them out in town. Got my flashlight and a magnetic flashlight.
and if Bigfoot is chasing you, or some creature is chasing you, of course, dial 911, but then call me, because I'll still be on the air for the next 2 hours.
I'm being tracked now.
You'll be my Art Bell Area 51 caller. Good class.
Not my friend. Thank you so kindly.
Good night, man. Good night.
Talk to you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
There you go. Our good friend, Ed Roman. It's always a pleasure having Ed on the show. It's amazing. Well, it's really cool. A lot of people, when I first started doing the show and I had Ed on at the beginning, everybody was like, why are you having a musician on your show when you're a paranormal show? Because everybody has experiences that they want to share. Everybody has a story. That's the thing. That's the thing about this show. Everybody has a story to tell. And I want to hear yours. I definitely want to hear your story. And you don't have to be a book writer. You don't have to be a novelist. You don't have to be a musician or someone famous, or, everybody has a story. And if you have a story to tell, this is what I want you to do. Go to listeners. It's listeners.themidnightocean@gmail.com. That is listeners. And we'll get that up there. Let me get this up here. Hold on. There it is. And for those that are in the chat room, I will put it up right now as we as it queues up. So it's listener, not listeners, listener.themidnightocean@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your story. And if you'd like to come on the show, that would be great too. That's the other thing too, is that I want people to think someone thinking about me. I want people to understand that this show, our listeners are very important to you. Everybody's got a story to tell. So if you got a ghost story, a paranormal story, maybe an experience that you had with the Mandela effect, if you had a time travel story, alien, UFO, anything, everybody's got a story to tell. And I would love to hear about it here at the Midnight Ocean. But once again, that was a great conversation that we had with Ed. I know we blew through the break there. So this is what I want to do. I want to take a quick break. I got to refill on my coffee. I will let everybody know tonight's show is sponsored by Tim Hortons Coffee. No, they don't send us money. They just keep us awake so we can do the show. The best coffee that you will ever drink. If you're within 500 miles of a Tim Hortons, I highly recommend that you take the detour, get yourself up there, get yourself a dark roast and a Danish. It's good stuff, guys. So let's do this. I'm going to play. I'll go ahead and play Lay One Down from Ed. We're going to take a quick break and we'll go ahead and play this song as we talked about it. And when we get back, we will continue the open lines. I'll switch the system over to open lines so that you guys can call in and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. And this is the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and Podcast. Join us here every weeknight from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and podcast. I am your host, Jeff Norton. That was our good friend Ed Roman joining us. Lay one down. What a great song. His whole album, the whole Red Omen album is an incredible album. If you guys, and he is up for Indie Artist of the Year, Album of the Year. Red Omen. Here. It's going to be in my hometown. The awards are going to be in my hometown, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Well, we were going to go. That was going to be the surprise. We were going to head, but Ed's not going to be there. So, oh, well, I think let's probably stay home then. Woke up with Ed a little bit later in the show. So, one of the things too, I want to tell you guys, we've got some new listeners, some new people joining us. We have the Skype line open. All you have to do is open up your Skype and type in TMO listener in your Skype, and we'll pop up. Love to hear from you. It's all one word, open lines. Any topic you want to talk about, you are free to call in on Skype. For those that have downloaded the Android app and the iPhone app, if you go to info, there's actually a direct link to our Skype line. So you can just click on there. If you have Skype installed on your phone, it'll take you right to us. How cool is that? Right from your cell phone. Do I have contact information for Ed anywhere? I do not. Actually, well, I do. I don't have his contact information. I don't think he'd like for me to give that out. But if you are interested in his albums, if you go to the midnightocean.com, you click on Ed Roman's page for tonight's guest, and you will see his albums there for sale on Amazon. If you have a specific question you want me to ask Ed on your behalf, I will be glad to do that. Just shoot me a email, and I'll put that up there in the chat room. For those who are in the chat room, see if the caps work. There you go. Listener.themidnightocean@gmail.com. That is, shoot me your question there and I'll get that forwarded over to Ed. He has not given me permission, obviously, to give out his contact information. Someone in the chat room wanted to know what the exclamation point is. Those are for the commands for the bots. All right. So here we go. Chat. Someone had to test, right? There's always one that always wants to poke the bear. Rules are pretty simple. I have some music. Okay. Yeah. If you send me the information and I will definitely, get it over to him. And, first see if he's interested. Sometimes with artists, I've worked with a lot of artists in the past and they get so much inundated, but Ed's a good guy. So I'm not going to make any promises, but send me a link or whatever you want to do. And because someone wanted to send Ed some music, so I'll get that over to him if he's accepting it at this time. Some artists, believe it or not, can't listen to other music because of the potential copyright issues and stuff like that. So I know a lot of artists will not accept music from other artists. Can you believe that? That's crazy. But they don't. But if you would love to join into the conversation, feel free. All you have to do is type in TMO listener in your Skype, and it'll take you right to us. Love to hear from you. Some of the new rules, guys, we do have an SMS system so that if you're on our website, you can send a message directly to me. Through the SMS messaging system. The phone number, all you have to do is if you have a cell phone, if you don't have a cell phone, what's wrong with you? Don't you know you need to be part of this corporate, got to be part of the matrix, got to have a cell phone so everybody can track you. But if you do have a cell phone, all you have to do is type in this number. I'm going to give it to you here in a second. I'm still learning it because we just set it up. Our good friends over at Live Ninja. It's a new product. It's pretty cool. It allows us to get SMS messages and also text messages right off of our site. It's pretty cool. But the phone number is 786-574-3652. And you can send us a SMS message using that number. And it will come to me live here in the studio. Do not call that number. I do not answer it. That is SMS message, text messaging only on that number. And, or you can go to our website at themidnightocean.com and type in your question there and it will come over to me and we'll be glad to answer it. And those are for those people that don't want to join in on chat and I understand. I get it. Trust me. Some of us don't want to do that, but we're learning and everything. So I'll let you guys know, the pound, like I said, we have a new moderator. It is called Nightbot. He actually kicked a couple people out for doing things that he was a little strict. I had to get on Nightbot a little bit and say, hey, back it down, buddy. And so there were some words, and they weren't bad words. They weren't. They were OMG and LAMO or whatever. Yeah. So whatever, or AO, and they got banned. So I have actually taken those out of the list. So don't worry. I'm going to review that list and maybe clean it up, maybe add a few. But like always, there's someone who wants to poke the bear. And I'm telling you, I'm not playing. I don't play. My kids will tell you that. My granddaughter will tell you that. Old man Papa Jeff does not play. And I do not. And so that is, you can come here, you can talk about the topic, you can be respectful, be a human being, and we will get along just fine. You come here and you want to disrupt and you want to cause issues, we will have issues. So I just want to tell everybody, thank you. If you guys, like I said, if you want to give me a shout, feel free. TMO listener is the best way to do it. I will keep the line open for about another minute. If I don't have a call, or if you don't have a question for me in the chat room, I'm gonna not lay one down. I'm gonna shut this down. We're gonna call it a night and everything. But I hope you guys have plans for the weekend. I hope you plan to spend it with someone special. And if you don't, that's okay. You can spend it listening to our shows. The SMS messages actually works. If you shoot me an SMS text, I will try to respond to you as much as I can, when I can, over the weekend. Get out to our website. More importantly, let people know about our website. Now, Monday, next week, I'm kind of leaving it open. I think next week is going to be UFO week. I have some guests that we're trying to finalize some dates, and I'm trying to align them with the conversation. Now, I will tell you this. Monday's show is going to be awesome. Monday is going to be awesome. And the reason being is because we are going to have a show on 911 tapes and UFO sightings. So the whole show is going to be nothing but public information, 911 and UFO sightings. These are people calling into 911, dispatchers talking about UFOs. These are dispatchers talking to law enforcement talking to law enforcement about UFOs. You guys always wanted, I always hear, well, why is it always the redneck or the hillbilly or whatever see the UFOs? Well, no, these aren't hillbillies here, guys. So we're going to be playing those. We'll have commentary throughout the show talking about different events, things of that nature. That's going to start our week off for UFOs, and then we're going to bring on certain guests and the experts throughout the week. and we will continue the talk. So next week is going to be UFO. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great week. We hope we have everything lined up. And by then, we should. Like I said, I've always said God provides. Gives us what he wants us to have. So we should have that going on. Well, without further ado, because no one has bothered to call in, no one wants to talk to me. It's okay. I understand. Not going to hurt my feelings. We'll just go ahead and wrap this puppy up and put a bowl on it. What a week. What a great week. We learned a lot. Got a little aggravated. But more importantly, we have gotten through it once again unscathed. And for that, we should be all eternally grateful. But be well. And like I said, this song is by our guest that was on tonight, Ed Roman. Wish him luck as he goes up for Indie Music Artist of the Year here on the 8th in my hometown, Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Be love. Jack.